Samir, do you want to finish off with your predictions?
Guys, give me a minute.
He's dead. He's gone.
Yeah, it was probably my fault.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video on the Short Corner podcast channel. Today, it's not even really that much of a podcast. We're not going to count it as a podcast, really, because it's not it's got nothing to do with Milan. We're going to be discussing more worldwide football sort of issues and topics. So we're going to be talking and making our predictions about the Champions League quarter-finals. Going to be touching on some Tottenham talk after Jose Mourinho threw a lot of his players under the bus again. Joe's going to give us his thoughts on the news that Celtic could be getting Eddie Howe as their new manager, and then also the final thing is just the sort of the transfer surrounding world football at the moment, because there's a lot of big news about Haaland and Mbappe and Harry Kane. So yeah, I'm obviously joined by Rid, Joe, and Samir. Do you guys want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. Good to be back.
Hello.
Guys, it's good to be back.
So yeah, we'll get stuck into the Champions League predictions. Unfortunately, Naeem isn't here today, but because he's got other commitments. But he did make some very outlandish Champions League predictions, which I'll get up now. He said 4-0 to Chelsea over 2 legs against Porto. He said 6-0 to Bayern over 2 legs against PSG. And then he said Dortmund to beat Man City 2-0 on aggregate, and then Real Madrid to beat Liverpool 4-2 on aggregate. Rid, do you want to get into your predictions and compare them to Naeem's rather brave ones?
Yeah, sure. Naeem's prediction are a bit out there. My ones are a bit, less out there, I would say. I think Liverpool's not going to go through, unfortunately. They haven't had the best season and they still look very shaky. And although Real Madrid is not at their best, at least a few years ago, I think they'll go through. I think it's going to be a 2-1 aggregate for Real Madrid. In terms of Man City, Dortmund, I think Man City will probably win the UCL in general, so definitely they're going through. I don't think Dortmund is going to have that big chance. They're not doing well in the league. I think they're like 4th or 5th, which isn't really where you would expect them to be. Even though they have like Haaland and certain players that would make a difference, it's Man City, arguably the best team right now, along with Bayern Munich. So I think definitely they're going for. I think it will be like a 3-0 aggregate for Man City. Bayern Munich and PSG, which is I think the most interesting game to watch. They're both good teams, but I think Bayern Munich will go through. Probably like a 2-1, 3-1 for Bayern Munich for me as again, I think. And Porto and Chelsea, I think Chelsea will go through, but I have a feeling it will be much tighter than a lot of people think. Obviously, on paper, Chelsea will probably go through, but we've seen against Juventus and just in general how like Porto can be a bit of a pain in the ass for some teams. So I think Chelsea might just scrape a draw and away goals and go through, but I don't think there will be too many goals in that game.
Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable predictions. I guess mine are a little bit different, particularly in the Man City Dortmund leg. I think that Manchester City will struggle, I think, against Dortmund because, if you look at the teams playing in the Premier League, they generally, I don't think they're really used to being pressed quite like, the way the German teams play. So I think Dortmund will go through in that game. I've got Real Madrid beating Liverpool 4-1, Bayern beating PSG 6-2. I think PSG are absolutely terrible. They should have gone out in the last leg. And I've got Porto going through in away goals against Chelsea. So all the English teams are out, hopefully.
Yeah, I've gone with slightly different predictions in terms of English teams. I've gone with Chelsea, sort of, as Rid has alluded to. Porto are a tricky customer. They're like I think it was Joe in the group chat earlier was saying that they're sort of reminiscent of the Atletico teams of the mid 2010s, who sort of perhaps like, it's not a disrespect to say that they've not got the quality, but they don't have the Galacticos of Real Madrid or your Lewandowskis or your Neymars, but they do like find a way. But I do think it'll be close. I think Chelsea, with that quality, that added quality that they have over Porto, I think they'll sneak a 2-1 aggregate win. I've gone with Man City beating Dortmund 3-1. And as Joe said, although it will be something like different, it will be something different to what they normally played. Like the only team who presses anything remotely like Dortmund do in the Premier League's Liverpool, and like they've not been able to do that this season because of their injuries. So it will be sort of a novelty for Man City to play against such a high pressing team. But again, with that quality, like their defence, which has been on fire this season, and then the ability to pick something out of nothing with the likes of De Bruyne and Mahrez and stuff like that, I think they'll get a 3-1 aggregate victory. I think Bayern PSG, I think that'll be the most goals in out of all the ties, and I think that Bayern will nip it 4-3. And again, it's just they've got Lewandowski, who got robbed of a Ballon d'Or last year, but should get one this year. And I think that if he's on form, they should be able to do it, even though there is some doubts about whether he'll play in that game. If they manage to get him fit, then they should be fine. And then finally, Liverpool, as Joe said, they've been awful. Liverpool have been absolutely terrible this season. And Real Madrid, although they started badly, through Benzema, who they've relied on for something like, I think I read almost half of their goals this season, I think they'll go through quite comfortably. And I think they'll win 3-1 on aggregate. Samir, do you want to finish off with your predictions?
Guys, give me a minute.
He's dead. He's gone.
Yeah, it's probably my fault.
For me, Real versus Pool, I think Real Madrid is going to go through. Pool has been really bad this entire season. And I feel it's going to be a 3-2. Madrid going through. Liverpool might win it, right now because Jota is back. But I still feel like Madrid can, go through. And for Man City, Dortmund is the easiest one. Man City is going through like 5-2. Like I think Dortmund has zero chance, and they have been like horrendous in the league. They've been really, really bad, this season. Yeah, Man City going easily 5-2 at least, and Bayern PSG. This is also kind of easy one, 4-2 for me. Bayern goes through. The report just came out today that Florenzi has COVID, so it's gonna miss the match. And Bayern, I think, has the entire team, and also they're in form. So yeah, I feel it's gonna be a 4-2 for Bayern. As for Chelsea and Porto, I feel like it's gonna be a close match. I feel a 2-1 win for Chelsea, but Porto's gonna give them a hard game.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting this year that all the games are sort of like quite well balanced, and although Man City and Chelsea are the favourites, and Real Madrid, based on Liverpool's form, are the favourites, there is that sort of unpredictability that we're sort of expecting. Whereas in previous years, you've had teams like, I don't know, teams like Salzburg or maybe Shakhtar sneaking their way through the group stage, and you've been able to just say, like, without a doubt, Real Madrid will beat them, or PSG will beat them. But this year, it's I think it's quite interesting that it's a lot closer. And even in a game where you've got someone like Porto, like, no one is ruling them out of getting to a Champions League semi-final just because of how well they performed against Juve. One thing that sort of links into a nice segue is that Aguero said that he would not leave Man City until he wins the Champions League with them. So maybe, do any of you think he'll get his wish? Because he is leaving, of course, in the summer. Rid, do you think that he'll be able to get his wish and win the Champions League in his final season?
As I said, I think if Man City is going to win the Champions League, this is the season where they'll probably, get the Champions League. Like, they're doing really well in the Premier League. That there isn't a team that can really stop them in Premier League. And looking at the Champions League, I think the only team that probably has a chance, in my opinion, to stop them in the final, like semi-final, whatever, would be Bayern Munich. I think currently those two are the best teams in the world right now. And I do, I was looking for the Man City team earlier and said, like, their bench players would probably start in most teams anyways. If they came to the Serie A, just the Man City bench team, they'll probably finish top 4 in my opinion. So just shows that they have so much depth, they have so many options on how to play, and they have a Guardiola who's just a top coach wherever he's went. So yeah, I do think Man City is the likely one to win this season, even though I think Chelsea could probably be able to recreate, was it a 2012 season where like they think, they won the Champions League when no one was expecting them. And, I wouldn't be too surprised if Chelsea somehow managed to win it. It will obviously, it would surprise me, but I do think they do have a chance. So for me, it's either Man City, Bayern Munich, and then maybe just after them, Chelsea winning them in that order. So probably, I think, and it would be just nice from like a fan perspective, just saying, Aguero has done so much for Man City. Like, if you think of Man City legends, he's probably one of the first names that pops up to your head. And, from a fan perspective, it would just be nice for him to get his wish before just leaving. But yeah.
I don't think that he's going to get his wish come true just simply because I think Bayern Munich look way too good at the moment. I don't think anyone in Europe can handle both the way that they can press and also the way that they've got so many quality players. They're not just like 11 players that can run around like idiots. They are, seriously quality players. I don't rate Man City as highly as perhaps some might, because in the Premier League this season there hasn't really been, I don't think it's been at the same level of competition as it has in previous years. Like Liverpool, have had a terrible season. They've had so many injuries. Manchester United are terrible. We should have beaten them in the Europa League, but we didn't. Who else is there? There's Leicester, Leicester are a great team. Brendan Rodgers is doing a good job, but they're never going to compete with the money Man City has. And Arsenal are just a joke. Tottenham are also a joke at the moment. Which actually is quite a nice segue, I think, into our next point, which was about Tottenham and their situation, which, to be honest, I don't really know that much about, so I'm going to let them take it away.
So Tottenham aren't having the best of times at the moment. It's a really weird situation because you rarely look at them and think this team is awful. Like, you look at Arsenal against Liverpool and it's like that was a pathetic performance, and you see like other teams like I can't think of a specific example off the top of my head, but you see games where it's like that is a woeful performance. But Tottenham rarely put those performances, like they rarely put in these performances. But there's a statistic that they've lost the most points from leading positions in the Premier League this season by a long way. And a reporter basically asked Jose Mourinho about why is this happening, because his team, if you think of his Porto side that he won Champions League with, that was based on defensive solidity. His Chelsea team in like 2005 or 2006, I can't remember which season it was when they won it 2 years in a row, but they conceded something like 24 goals all season in 38 games. And then at Real Madrid as well, he had quite a defensively solid team. And at Inter, obviously, with Zanetti and players like that, they had a defensively solid team. So the reporter basically asked him, why has this changed? And he said that it was the same coach, but with different players. So by saying that, he's alluding to the fact that it's not his fault and that it's his players' fault for not being able to perhaps implement his style and to carry out the tactics that he's asking them to. And he's saying that his players aren't good enough. So again, we've seen it before with the likes of Pogba, Lukaku, Luke Shaw, and even in Ndombele, and it kind of works on Ndombele. And there are some players where the harsh, tough love does work, but at Tottenham now, you've seen the rumours that Son wants to leave, Kane, whereas previously Kane's always said, no, I'm happy at Tottenham. Now it's sort of, oh, we'll see at the end of the season, and the idea of him leaving is sort of perhaps entering his mind. So, yes, Samir, what are your thoughts on the whole Tottenham fiasco and Mourinho and Kane leaving, and yeah, just what are your thoughts on the whole sort of situation?
Jose is one of the best coaches of all time. Like, I rate him really, really, really high. I feel like with this Spurs team, the problem is their defense more than the attack. The attack is pretty good, you know. Defense is the one we know they're like really, really, really bad. I think Spurs are the opposite of Milan. Like, when someone scores against us, we can't come back. And Spurs is the opposite. If they score, the other team will come back. Like, since last few matches, it's been the same thing. They're winning by 2 goals, and the team comes back, you know, through a free kick, through corner. Their set pieces are like really bad, and the defenders are not good for Jose. For Jose to succeed, he needs, like, next year he needs like new defenders from the RBs, LBs, center backs. Like, he needs a whole set of defenders for him to, you know, get top 4 or like aim for trophies, you know. And I get where he's coming from. Like he said, you know, the coach is the same, the players are different. He's right though. Like, he took Porto, you know, like half of them were unknown players. When he was in Inter, he had great defenders, you know. So I feel it's more on the like players than Jose. And same when he went to United. United had, you know, like a very bad defense. You know, Luke Shaw was bad back in the time when he was coaching them. Bailey was always injured. And what's his name? Like shit. Like, playing for Roma right now. I forgot his name.
Smalling.
Yeah, Smalling. Yeah, even he was not so good. So, you know, so and he had Young, like Ashley Young as an RB. So his defense was not the best. So I kind of understand where he's coming from, but I think they should keep him because for them he's the right coach. Like, Kane is having one of his best seasons. He has like 20 goals, like 20 assists. He's having like best season of his life. I feel like if Spurs gets like sets of new defenders, then yeah, they will see some profits in the future.
I think when it comes to Mourinho, I've watched the Amazon documentary on Spurs when he first came out, and I think there were fans' opinions, and they were like, you know, when you have Mourinho, you expect to win because he's, you know, he's the special one. He's won everywhere he's gone, and obviously, I guess that raised expectations on Tottenham and the players. And if you look at, you know, the league table right now, Tottenham is 5th, which personally, just looking from an outside perspective, you know, I don't expect Tottenham to be 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, but at the same time, I don't expect them to be, you know, where Arsenal are, for example, like 10th. I think 5th, 4th is where I would, you know, if I was to make the prediction table, is where I would put Tottenham. So I think in that sense, as a team, I think that's where they are. But I think since they're coming off, you know, the humiliation from the Europa League, but they just lost 3-0 away when they were like a 2-goal lead. I think everyone is just now, you know, kind of pointing their fingers to Mourinho because obviously he came in, you know, with his personality and people were expecting him to win and everything, and he hasn't really been able to achieve that. And when you look at Pochettino, who more or less had the same team and was able to, you know, get to the final of the Champions League, I can understand why people are criticizing his statement where he said, yeah, different coach but same, different players but same coach. But Pochettino, who had more or less the same players, was able to do much better. So obviously, and I agree with Mourinho. He said, as Matt said, you know, he doesn't have the John Terrys, he doesn't have the Zanettis in the team, which obviously I feel like he needs a solid defense. But I think I also kind of disagree with Samir when he said Mourinho is the correct coach for them. Obviously, Harry Kane is having the best season of, you know, he's ever had, but I don't think Tottenham fits a defensive type of play with the players they have. I think if, as Samir said, if he wants to say there needs to be a drastic change, especially defensively, because they don't have good enough players, they fit Mourinho's style of play. They did fit Pochettino's type of play, as they were able to get to the final and doing much better. So it's just, a weird one, because I get what he says, but at the same time, you can just shut down what he said by saying, the coach before you did so much better with more or less the same players, so you can't really blame it on the players. So yeah, it's just weird one.
Yeah, I think with Tottenham, it's a lose-lose situation really until they win. And I know that sounds obvious, but Tottenham's identity as a football club, it's similar to someone like Man United. So Man U sort of had the same problem when Mourinho came in. So Tottenham's identity is players like Ozzy Ardiles, Ricky Villa, Jimmy Greaves, and Glenn Hoddle, David Ginola. Their identity is this free-flowing, attractive, like Paul Gascoigne as well, beautiful football. That's what their fans want. So you think of some clubs like Chelsea, they don't have a specific identity because of all the managers they've had, and because only since the 90s have they become a team to be reckoned with in terms of like silverware. They don't have a fixed identity, but Tottenham do. And it's Tottenham fans will want to, they're willing to sacrifice this if they get the trophies. So they're willing to say, okay, we'll leave this sort of attractive football behind. We're happy to leave that and put it on the side. But if we win trophies, and I think the problem with Mourinho is it's sort of they're not trusting the process, and I think they're not trusting the process, and they need to, perhaps there's a case to say they have to be patient and say, give him another year, because then you'll get your trophies. But then there's another side to it, which is, well, we've sacrificed our whole club's identity for you to win as a trophy. And this season, we're going to finish 5th or 6th, and we're going to lose in the League Cup final to Man City. So I think, it's a tough situation, and in football you don't get that much time. So a few, like 20 years ago, he'd definitely have 3 years, and they'd give him enough time to implement his style and win a trophy. But now in football, it's a results-based industry, and they want a trophy quicker. So it's a very multifaceted sort of debate, which we could talk for hours about. But I think with Mourinho, he needs a trophy. If he wins that League Cup, then that'll help big time. But it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out in the coming months.
Just one question I wanted to ask everyone, for your opinion. I think a lot of people say the type of football Mourinho plays, defensive, similar to like Simeone, is quite outdated in the modern days, because you need, fast players, quick play, stuff like that, which I would imagine Mourinho likes Simeone and not great fans, because they really enjoy their defensive football. So I just want to get your thoughts on that. Do you guys think that's outdated, or is that still good? Because obviously, if you look at right now, Atletico Madrid is out of your Champions League as well. Tottenham is not doing great, and I guess when you look at pioneers, you could say, of that type of football, you would think of Simeone and Mourinho, and that both not doing good nowadays. So is it outdated?
I don't think it's outdated as such, but I think there needs to be a balance. So what you see with good proper teams is they'll score the first goal, and they'll be able to maintain the game, they'll be able to control it. But that shouldn't be compromised with good football. So there seems to be this belief that if you've got good defenders and your team knows how to defend, then that means you can't attack. But people forget that Mourinho's teams 2005 and 6, they weren't just good defenders and that's it. They had the likes of Drogba and Robben, and even like prime Joe Cole. He was like really good. They had those players going forward. So I think what is outdated and has never been in fashion and has never been successful is overly defensive football. And like when you think of the Diego Costa teams, they had with the Atletico Madrid team, they had Diego Costa up front. They had people who could score goals. And I think Mourinho's style of play isn't outdated. It's just it needs tweaking so that Tottenham have an attitude where they get the first goal, because what seems to happen now is they get the first goal, they sit on it. that's it, and then it goes wrong. I think there needs to be a bit of a balance where they're more prepared to get the first goal, be prepared to defend, but also be prepared to go for that second.
I don't feel like it's out there. It's more like the players, if to play a defensive like way, you need good defenders, to defend the ball, to defend the game. Like every time Tottenham scores 1-2 goals, they concede on the dumbest, like dumbest way possible, through a like defender's mistake, through a like a free kick, or not clearing out a header, easy header. I think Allegri, he is a defensive coach. He won trophies. I think it's mostly on the players than
He's unemployed.
Um,
Just running out there.
wait. Well, like he's still waiting for a club, right? Like he's learning.
He's been unemployed for like what, 2 years now?
It's since 2019, I think so, right?
Yeah, that's 2 years.
I feel like he's out. To be honest, he's still waiting for a club, right? He said he's trying to go to English, like in the EPL. He's learning English and all that. He's the one coaching CIA. He wants to like go abroad and try new things. But but he kept on winning. He went to UCL 3 times. I mean, twice in 3 years, right? So it's mostly on the players, but also Jose needs to, tweak his.
Did Allegri win the UCL?
No, he went twice within 3 years.
Finals, yeah.
Yeah. So for Jose, he has to, tweak his formation. But like I said, mostly it's the players. You get two good defenders, and you will not concede the dumb goals like they have been. Also, did he make any big signing, Jose, since he joined us? Like since he joined Spurs?
You could argue Bale is a great big signing.
But it's like a loan, right?
Yeah, but in that sense, not really.
Like a defender type. But see, Pochettino had 5 years. He coached Dortmund since 2014 till 2019. He had 5 years. The start he played, he had always played for 5 years. So that's why he went so far in the UCL. Every player there is in Dortmund, it's chosen by him. For 5 years, he picked his player, he kept them. So it's kind of hard for Jose. I think this year they if Jose says they need to get players change, a big change needed in defense, and attack is fine. Also, to answer your question, I feel like a defensive style can still work provided you have the right players.
I think defensive football has been outdated since the 70s, to be honest. It's dead. It was dead, I think, in the Champions League final or the European Cup final of 1967, when the most defensive Inter team came up against the most attacking team probably in history, which was that 1967 Celtic team that just completely outplayed them by attacking every single minute of that game. It's a really mad game to watch back because you don't even see anything like it now, and it just sort of proved that you can spend all your time defending, but if you have quality attacking players going up against you, what's the point? You just look stupid because you spent all this time trying to keep goals out, but you can't even do that. So yeah, that's my toss. I've never been a huge fan of Mourinho, to be honest. I think, I don't know. I mean, he's kind of been overrated for his entire career. What he achieved at Porto was kind of cool. But even then, he had great players like Deco carrying them, players like that. And, he came to Chelsea, had all this money from Abramovich pumping him in. He got a few Premier League trophies, but they don't count for anything because in the Champions League, he never did anything with Chelsea. At Inter, he had one of the best teams ever, arguably. Had the right sort of set of generational sort of talents at the peak of their careers, and even then, he only had success really for that. To the point where he won the treble, he won everything with Inter, but then when he went to Real Madrid, where he had an objectively fantastic team, did nothing there. It was absolutely no match for Pep Guardiola's Barcelona. He went back to Chelsea. He was proven to be a fraud again. And then
hang on, Joe. Hang on. You've just gone through his whole career and gone through and just said he's awful whilst mentioning every trophy he's won. You've just gone through and said, "Oh, I don't rate Jose Mourinho. He's awful, but he won a treble. He won the Champions League with Porto. He won 3 Premier Leagues with Chelsea." And then, like, which one is it? You can't not rate him and then, like, list all of his honours. And you can't discount a back-to-back. You can't discount a back-to-back Premier Leagues with Chelsea. There's got to be, like, some sort of recognition. To say you've just gone through his whole career, listed all the honours he's won, and then gone, yeah, but do they really count for anything? I just don't think that's fair, really.
Yeah, I'm just saying that, the squads he had that he did that with, he should have done more, I think, with them. That's my point.
Well, if Jose is a fraud, then Pep is like, fraud as fraud. He had prime Barca, then he went to Bayern, did nothing there, won the tiny league, then came to City, has like billions of transfer. Like, he got players, still did nothing. So who is the real fraud?
I didn't mention Pep Guardiola at all, to be honest. There, I wasn't really defending him whatsoever.
I know. I'm saying, like, by your standards, if Jose is a fraud, then Pep is nothing, right?
Yeah, but Pep's teams are actually interesting to watch, and I don't want to claw my eyes out when I see a Pep Guardiola team.
Yeah,
in the end, the trophies. But in the end, Joe, the trophies matter, bro. Like, Jose backs up every league.
I'm in neutral. I'm in neutral when it comes to these teams. Pep Guardiola has never coached Milan or Celtic or any team I've been remotely interested in, and neither is Jose Mourinho. So, from a neutral point of view, would I rather see a game that is between Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp, or Jose Mourinho and what's his name, the guy from Atletico Madrid?
Simeone.
Yeah, Simeone. Yeah, I mean, I pick the Pep Guardiola game, to be honest.
Joe, the last time you said you wanted attractive football, it was Gianpaolo, and we all know what happened there.
Had to go there. I mean, like, Gianpaolo was trying to do attached football. He was just an idiot and couldn't get it done. But that's different from he doesn't represent that whole entire style of play.
I think with Mourinho, it's just like ugly football, but you get the win. And I kind of agree with you in that sense.
But you don't, though.
Well, I mean, he used to.
Yeah, but he hasn't since 2015 or anything.
No, I agree. Because to be fair, I do kind of believe that, the way Mourinho and them lot play, it's a bit outdated because none of them have really won anything in a while. But if you're looking at a decade ago, then I would be like, yeah, I don't like the way they play because, as I said, it's boring. I don't really like watching a team defend for 90 minutes after a goal. But, you used to get the job done, but I think football has kind of evolved. And in order for Mourinho, them lot to, again, start winning again, they kind of have to adapt to the way the game is played now and be, I guess, more offensive in that sense. But, yeah, I kind of agree with Joe as well. I wouldn't go as far as saying he's overrated. Or a fraud. Or a fraud. But I would say, in last few years, he has not been that good because he hasn't really won anything. So, yeah.
But to be fair, he had United and then Spurs. Like he said, his greatest achievement is being second with United, So to be fair, he didn't have good team,
but if you're such a good coach, then you would be winning with anyone, wouldn't you?
But the thing is, he keeps on taking challenges, right? Pep never does that. Never did that. Did he?
Well, yeah, but no one's talking about Pep.
But yeah, that's the thing. If Pep was offered, he was probably offered, say, if Celtic called him, hey, Pep Guardiola, do you want to come to Glasgow? Or if Man City were do you want to come here and spend 500 billion pounds and have all this money and all these top players? Mourinho would pick the same thing as well. If Mourinho was offered the PSG job, he would take that over the Spurs job every day of the week. So this is the reason he's taking these challenges. It's not because he's like Zlatan and needs to prove himself. That he can go and make a shit team good again. He's already won lots of stuff in his career. But like he's not getting offered top jobs anymore. And that's just like the reality of it. There's got to be a reason for it. And I think it's partly to do with the way that he pisses off every board that he works for and throws players under the bus, like what we've seen just now.
Yeah,
maybe that, or maybe he likes challenge,
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Joe in the sense, overall, I don't agree with Joe with the idea that he's overrated and a fraud, but I do see what, like, if we're being fair, I do see what Joe means with maybe nowadays he is like the golden days of Mourinho and like the special one, they are perhaps over, and his tough love, harsh management style isn't suited to the modern game and the modern player. But then also Samir's points about maybe if he had a Ruben Dias or a Kyle Walker, or he had a De Bruyne in his team, someone like that, then there is a case that perhaps he'd be winning these trophies that Guardiola's winning. But I think all this shows is the mystique of Jose Mourinho and how we'll never truly understand his character, and I don't think he will either. Moving into sort of some wider transfer talk now. One person who is sort of frustrated by Mourinho seemingly is Harry Kane. As we mentioned earlier, he's got something like 43 goal involvements in 40 games in all competitions for Tottenham. But unlike previous years where he's like, I'm happy at Tottenham, leave me alone, I'm not talking about transfers. Now it's more leaning towards, I'm focused on the Euros, we'll see at the end of the season, or I'm focused on Tottenham for this season, we'll see. With Aguero leaving and the Haaland talk and Messi out of contract, looks like it could be a big merry-go-round of transfer. So, Rid, do you want to give your thoughts on what you think should happen, what could happen, what you'd like to see happen regarding Haaland, Aguero, Kane, and all that?
Yeah, well, I think for Kane, it just depends on what he wants. Like, at the end of the day, I don't think Tottenham is going to win anything. So I think the biggest question with Harry Kane is like no one doubts that he's world class, because he is, especially this season. He's just banging goal every game. The biggest debate is that, staying in Tottenham, you're not really going to win anything. And he's 27, so, approaching his 30s, and he hasn't won anything. So I guess, if he wants to stay and become, the club, captain or stuff like that, or like, a flag, or like a Maldini or something for them, like, spend your whole life playing Tottenham, become an icon. If that's what he wants, then he can obviously just say. But as Matt said, it doesn't, I'm sure he has some doubt in his mind, because, if he wants to go down as one of the greatest, you do need trophies. I personally disagree with that. I believe, like, if you're good, then you're good. Trophies don't really mean that much for, as an individual player. But if he wants to win Champions League, if he wants to win anything, I don't think staying at Tottenham would be the ideal thing. I think if you take Kane and put him in a, Bayern Munich or like Barcelona or anything, he has much more chances of winning something. And I guess the same could be said about Son. He's also 28, around that bracket, and he hasn't won anything either. And I would be surprised if they both leave in the summer, but I wouldn't be surprised if both, and like players who arguably the best players for Tottenham will want to leave. And if Kane does leave, I think he'll probably end up in a PSG or something like that, depending on what, like, as Haaland and them, because I think there's going to be a big, as Matt said, big merry-go-round, strikers just moving around in the summer, with Aguero going out of contract, Haaland just being wanted by everyone, and Kane wanting to leave. So it's just going to be an interesting one to see how it develops.
I feel like Kane wants to go away because he wants to win trophies, and also I feel like he's tired of carrying his bum teammates year after year after year. He's probably gonna stay like one last year, maybe next season is gonna be his last year in Spurs, and then he's gonna probably move out.
Yeah, so transfer talks is one of the sort of things that I used to find it really interesting. When I'd look up, who's going where and I want to know what all the rumors are. But you end up, once you've seen enough transfer windows go by, you kind of know that a lot of the rumors the media come up with are absolute bullshit, and rarely actually come to pass. So, if Kane does go to a big team, I guess, he's a good player. He's a good goal scorer for sure. But at the same time, are there that many clubs out there looking for a top striker other than like Man City? And they said they weren't going to sign a big name player, whether they were just bluffing about that or not. I couldn't see many people or many clubs actually being able to afford him, particularly with COVID, and stuff like that. It's just he's going to be an extremely expensive player. And I think clubs these days are starting to go the, like the Milan route, or like the Dortmund route, where you sign players, who are younger and have the potential to be that player, as opposed to spending so much, because it's such a huge gamble. If you sign Kane for 200 million or whatever, I don't know how much it would cost, but I imagine it would be upwards of 100 million for sure. And you sign him and you've got, and he comes in and, he doesn't really do that well, then, you've just spent a huge amount of money on a player that, isn't, you could have just spent maybe 10 million on somebody, I think, whoever it was that Dortmund paid for Haaland, I think it was like 30 million or something ridiculous like that. And now he's just, he's turned into one of the best strikers, if not the best striker in world football. And I think a lot of clubs are going to start seeing that as the more viable transfer method going forward. And it's going to become harder and harder for players like Kane to find a club, particularly, if more clubs around Europe are starting to do that. So yeah, I think I don't see him moving on, to be honest, because I don't think anyone who needs a striker is going to prefer him to Haaland, who's younger and probably better, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to upset the apple cart again, but
yeah, linking in with Haaland, I think what I don't think there's been reports that Raiola, his agent, has been like touring around all of Europe, just going to teams and like I don't know what they do. I feel like it just goes there and takes a picture of Haaland and be like, here's my product. What you guys is for? But apparently there's been reports like he wanted like 20 million on commission, 20 million for Haaland's father. He wanted to sleep with someone as well. I don't know. He just asked for the most ridiculous kind of things. And the last part isn't accurate. I'm just saying. But obviously that's Raiola just being him. I think as Milan fans, we know how annoying he can be, how annoyingly good he can be at his job. Obviously, he's really good because he does his job. His job is to get as much as you can out of teams, and that's what he does. And but I think with Haaland, because there's been so many talks of people wanting to sign him with like Barcelona, Man City, Real Madrid, Barca, and everyone else. But I don't think he's gonna move this season unless because I would imagine the only team that can really afford him right now would be Man City. But as Joe mentioned, they mentioned that they would not be signing a big striker this summer. I mean, we don't know how accurate and whether they'll. Sorry, I just read.
I'm sorry, that was really bad.
Oh my!
It's fine. I'll just repeat the last sentence. Yeah, I think the only team that can sign Haaland right now is Man City. But as Joe said, they said they might not be signing anyone big striker. So I think he will stay in Dome for another season or so. And then I think next summer is gonna be just who can splash out the most cash and how many wives Raiola can sleep with, and that would see.
Yeah, I agree with Joe in the sense that, like, with COVID and with how expensive these players are, it just won't be done. Like in our eyes, we've got Messi at Man City, Haaland at Barcelona, Kane at Real Madrid, and it's this whole massive, huge transfer fiasco where there's been £500 million spent, and a billion spent in agent fees, but I think, like Joe says, it just probably won't happen. And Kane isn't the sort of guy to like pull a whole like Riyad Mahrez fiasco where he's like, oh, I need to leave, I'm going to demand to leave. I think he would just be like sort of happy to just only go when Tottenham want him to go. So I think he'll be quite calm. And talk about Harry Kane being expensive. Haaland is this summer, because next summer he has actually got a release clause of around 70 million, but this summer it's just silly money. So and with the agent fees on top of that, I just, like Joe says, I think this summer it just probably will be just that tad too expensive. And next summer, when everyone sort of sorted their finances out a bit better, Haaland's release clause has gone down, that's when we could see big moves. But I think this summer there'll be a lot of, like Joe says, bullshit rumours and a lot of hyping up of, oh, this transfer's happening and this guy's on a plane flying to Madrid and stuff like that. And then it'll become deadline day and it'll just be like Danny Ings has gone to Man City and that'll be the big transfer of the window. So, I think it was going to be quite underwhelming. Samir, what did you want to say?
I forgot. I want to say Haaland's like what Rilo said is crazy. He's asking 20 million for Haaland's dad, 20 million for Raiola himself, 30 million as his wages, per year. And within that, Dortmund wants 120 million transfer fee at least. That's crazy. In these COVID times, even without COVID times, it's crazy. No one's gonna pay a 21-year-old 30 million a year. That's just no way, I feel like this year, like there are lots of possibilities, but in the end, no one is going to move. I feel like Mbappe is going to stay in PSG. Haaland is going to stay in Dortmund for one more year. Sergio Aguero is already leaving, most probably to Barca. And as for Messi, I actually, in the start of the season, I really thought he's going to go to Man City. I was like at least 70% sure. But right now, Messi might probably stay. He's enjoying with Coman. He got the team playing good. They've been really playing good for the last like 15 matches. And Messi has been in crazy form. So he might stay. I feel like in the end, no one's going to move, and maybe Aguero's going to go to Barca. That's it. Like no way in hell anyone's going to pay more than 120 or 150, like more than 100 for Haaland. But Madrid might. But for Mbappe, not for Haaland. I only see Madrid, maybe making a big move, but not for Haaland, though, because that's just crazy,
One final question before we wrap up. I think Samir just mentioned Aguero, and although this isn't as much as a Milan podcast, just wanted to ask, would you guys take Aguero as a free transfer? Although it's very unlikely due to his high wages and stuff, and I don't think he'll come to Milan. But if there was a chance, would you guys take him?
I was in a heartbeat. I think his wages are like 13 million, which is impossible for us right now, or like 15 million. But as a player, he'll be really good for us. I don't think he'll be willing to be on the bench for Ibra, but then he would be like perfect for us, honestly, for the like next 3 years. He just turned 32, so he can go on till he's 35.
I'd personally disagree with that. I'd say that it just stinks of Higuain. Just like overall, of course, Aguero is a better striker than Higuain. What he's achieved in his career, I'd say that Aguero is better than Higuain. But just like you say, firstly, I think I'd like to get out there. It's not happening. But even if it was to happen, I think his wages are way too high. As you said, we've got Ibra. We've got rumours of people like Daniel Marlon, who long term for a club like who are owned by people like Elliott, who aren't like looking to sign huge like Haalands or Mbappe's, like trying to keep it sort of low key with the signings. I don't think it'll happen. And he's quite injury prone as well. And I think it could I think it'd be quite an irresponsible transfer because it's like quite eye catching and clickbaity and headline news sort of thing. But I think the better signings for us, like Joe said earlier, and that what we could see a lot of this window are the cheaper, more low-key signings that in 3 or 4 or 5 years' time we'll look back on and go, bloody hell, how did they pull that one off for so cheap? And I personally wouldn't take Aguero.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Mark because I think although he's a good player, he's not the right fit for us. We already have a veteran striker in in Ibra, and my guess he's retiring next season, and I wouldn't want, no offense to Aguero, a 34-year-old taking over Ibra, then we'll have to replace him again. I'd rather us find a young striker who can have a one season settling in with Ibra, and like once Ibra, retires, then he can take over. But I don't think Aguero, for all the reasons Matt said and the reason we already have first veteran striker, would be a good sign for us, even for free.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, at the moment we've got Ibrahimovic, as our veteran striker, and we've also got Mandzukic, who is, being paid to, I don't know what the fuck he's doing at the moment. He's probably just playing chess with, I don't know, Daniel Maldini all day or something. I don't know what he's doing, but he's obviously, I read a report from, I think it was like Nico Skira today, that the Mandzukic won't be renewed, so there will be another striker signed, I reckon, in the summer, but I don't think it will be Aguero.
Guys, at this point, if Mandzukic comes back, okay, let's say, what does he have to do to make you renewing? Like how many goals would you expect for him? Like, let's say, okay, he's fit right now, he's scoring goals. Like, how many goals do you need from him?
25 in 10 games. I don't want him anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it's about like Rid says, I think it was a low risk option and it might just not work out. But if we are trying to force it to work out, I think it's maybe not the number of goals. I think it's the importance of the goals. So like in this run-in that we were talking about on the last podcast, if he gets these important goals like against Atalanta on the last day, or against Lazio away in the big games, if he can prove himself that he's got some sort of genuine value and something to offer to a team, that's when you keep him. But yeah, I don't think we should be in any rush to be like scrambling and sorting out all our finances to keep Mario Mandzukic in Milan now.
I wouldn't honestly mind because, to be honest, he didn't do anything bad or good. He just did nothing, So God knows, maybe like Arid said, maybe 4 or 5 goals within the last 9 games, then maybe, but then right now, nah.
I think we'll finish off on some news of Joe's other club, Celtic. Quite good news, I think. Well, from a neutral's perspective, it looks like quite good news, especially considering there was links to Roy Keane earlier in the week. But Joe, there's the strong rumour now that Celtic are looking at Eddie Howe to take over from Neil Lennon as their new manager going into next season to try and take back what they think is rightfully theirs off of Rangers. So, as a Celtic fan, what are your thoughts on the Eddie Howe news?
Yeah, I think it's great news, honestly. I was really worried it was going to be Roy Keane, because the owner of the chairman, Dermot Desmond, is, he has this image or his idea in his head that what Celtic fans want is, they want a manager that's got connections to Ireland, and that isn't the case. They want to see them fans want to see Celtic winning the league every year, and becoming a respected club in Europe, along the lines of like Porto or, like Ajax or that sort of thing, because there is the financial capability of the club to do that. Celtic are actually quite rich because they've had a decade of unchallenged success. And, they qualified for the Champions League quite a few times over the last decade and, done well in the Europa League. There is that capability. And I think when Neil Lennon was given a permanent job, it was just, everyone knew that it was a step backwards. Because we had Brendan Rodgers, who's really progressive, forward-thinking manager. He was capable of, I think Brendan Rodgers honestly be at any club in Europe and do a pretty good job. I mean, not any club, but he's doing really well with Leicester. But I could easily see him doing well with like Manchester United or a club in the tier above. No disrespect to Matt's other team, so it's good to have somebody that is more in the line with Brendan Rodgers than Neil Lennon. So it's just really generally good news. It is a bit of a risk because he hasn't been at a big club before, so it could be a Gianpaolo situation. But Celtic never sack managers, as we saw with Lennon. He basically, I think he almost tried to get sacked at one point, and he wasn't getting sacked. So yeah, I don't think it would happen with Eddie Howe, because he's a professional. I really get the vibe from him that he knows what he's doing, and it's a step in the right direction. And hopefully, it's good news. Let's see how it goes for the rest of the season.
Yeah, on a previous podcast, I think it was in one of our 0.5 episodes, we were talking, and I think it was after Lennon resigned or got sacked or whatever. We were talking about potential managers and likes of Lampard and Rafa Benitez apparently declared interest in it. Would you say that Eddie Howe is the perfect person, or is he like, oh, I'm happy with him, I prefer someone else, or is he genuinely the one you would have ideally wanted?
He's not number one, for sure. I think for me, number one was Ralph Rangnick, because I think he was just the perfect fit in the way that he would completely modernise the club. They would do basically what Brendan Rodgers did, and then Neil Lennon came along and took the club in 5 steps back from where Brendan Rodgers had taken it forward from. So I would say Rangnick would have been the preferred choice, but obviously, he probably demands quite a high salary, and Dermot Desmond and not Peter Lorre, Dermot Desmond would never give him that kind of money. So I think Eddie Howe is like a sort of cheaper version, but he is still, he's still quite accomplished in what he did with Bournemouth. He took them from, I think it was like League Two or something, was it? Like right up to the Premier League, which is a phenomenal accomplishment in itself. And he's beaten some of the big teams in the Premier League. So I think it's really, it's positive news for Celtic fans, but it's not. It's not like we're getting, it's not like we're getting Pep Guardiola and it's gonna, be this big thing. But I think the club have realised what they did wrong in giving Lennon the full-time job. They thought that Rangers are clueless. They'll never could basically do whatever we want and we'll still win the league. And nobody actually thought that Celtic would lose the league eventually. But, it came to pass because every worst possible decision was made.
Like you said that Eddie Howe hasn't managed a big club, but what he has done, he's managed expectations of a team, like sort of like who was hoping to get promoted. So even in League Two and League One and in the Championship, Bournemouth were the best team in that league at that point. So when Bournemouth got promoted, it was like not that much of a shock. When they got promoted from League One, they were the best team in League One, League Two, and obviously with Celtic, although Rangers have had sort of their moment and they've got some decent players like Ryan Kent and Tavernier and stuff like that. Celtic, in terms of quality, you think of Edouard and you think of Rogic and those sort of players. Do you think that next season, if Eddie Howe comes in, Celtic do win the league?
Yeah, I think I just expect Celtic to win the league no matter what. Basically, it should be a given because in terms of the capabilities of the club and on a financial place that there's no competition. Rangers are basically they're in incredible debt, like crippling debt. They could easily be I think they could be in real big trouble in 5-10 years or whatever. It's going to catch up to them, the amount they're spending, because they don't actually have that money in their bank account. So like Celtic are obviously a much bigger club in the way that they've got this in terms of like a modern football club. Celtic are like the only team in Scotland that have that have it together in that sense. So I think with proper management and smart signings, that doesn't mean Diego Laxalt, he'll be back at Milan. I'm sure everyone will be happy to hear that. Some proper smart signings for low cost smart signings, like how good to Milan, that sort of deal. The Celtic could easily be making that type of signing, and I think as long as there's a director of football working with Eddie Howe that maybe knows what he's doing.
Yeah, cool. That's perfect. So all looking up for Celtic if that appointment goes through. I think we'll probably wrap it up there. So thank you once again for listening to the Short Corner podcast. As we said, this hasn't been episode 9 or episode 8.5. It's just been another video. I've really enjoyed it. I think we all have discussing everything from Aguero and Messi to Celtic to Tottenham and Mourinho. And thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check us out on all of the platforms other than YouTube. Thanks for watching.